Hey beauties, it's Riri. If you're new here, I'm an over 40 lover of all things beauty and I love showcasing indie brands here on my channel. If that sounds like your cup of tea, please consider subscribing and give the video a thumbs up. If you do enjoy, we're diving right in. Speaking of indie brands, today is my palette ranking for all of my Gourmande Girls Cosmetics palettes. And all of these were gifted to me and I do have an affiliated code RIRI10 for 10% off. She does not know I'm doing this video. I was not asked to do this video, but I love palette rankings. I love to see all the different brand palettes kind of put together so I can kind of visually see what the brand has to offer, so to speak. Last on my list is the Gourmandises palette. This is a newer release for them, and the only reason that this is at the bottom is just because it is not a color story I gravitate to very often. I am very much a grungy, green and gold, or very warm tone neutrals, yellows, oranges, bronzes, reds, things like that. So just, you know, it's just not my preference, that's all. Really beautiful color story. I think it's absolutely stunning and I think it is perfect for especially springtime. But it did not make the top 5. This one is the Gourmandises and it is last on my gourmand list. Next up, and for the exact same reason, is the Nueva Vida palette. Again, really beautiful. I prefer this style of packaging from her versus like this one right here. I like these a lot. I love the color stories and the layouts. Super beautiful, but it kind of is the exact same preface as far as like being a little bit more kind of pinky purpley. This one's not quite as pastelized. It's a little bit more punchy, if you will. And again, beautiful. Her formula is stunning. I really have a good time with her formulas. You know, when she has a duo or multi-chrome shifting shade, these shifts are very apparent, which I definitely can appreciate, but solely because it's just not a color story I reach to all the time, that one's also a little bit lower on the list. Next up on the list is the That Time of Year palette. This was a collaboration palette. This one right here I'm keeping forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And then this one right here is my original one that I have used and loved and abused. I am actually gifting this to a friend of mine. Actually, after this video, I'm going to be gifting it to her. But you can see I've used it a lot. This is only a little bit lower down on my ranking because first and foremost, it's a little bit older and her formula has improved in my opinion since this release. And she's also kind of dipped her toes into the more special shades realm, if you will. So these are a little bit more kind of classic, if you will, type shimmers. There are a couple special shades here. Still very beautiful. I think we did a great job here. It didn't scream and was not overtly Christmas or holiday. It literally is a little bit of neutrality here. You can go with blues and purples. You can go with pinks and purples. You can play with the greens, which y'all know are my favorite. But it is a little bit older and I've loved it. I've spent a lot of time using this palette. I love it so much, but it is getting older and my shimmer preferences have definitely changed. Next up on the list is the Silent Night palette. And this one honestly is kind of the same reason for some of the other ones being a little bit lower ranked. It is definitely very neutral leaning and cool tone leaning with the little pops of the gold and the yellow. I love this color story. And for me personally, with wintertime especially approaching, I think it is perfect for wintertime. Aside from that though, again, not always shades that I'm going to reach to all the time. I do, however, love that it goes very light to very dark and there is something for my inner corner. I say this all the time. I want that in every single palette. Am I gonna get it in every palette? No, and that's fine. But yeah, it's beautiful. I think if you do have this, you're gonna have beautiful like smoky, earthy, grungy looks if you wanted to. You could do, you know, New Year's Eve type looks, but then you can really go with those kind of blues and those more cool tones for the winter time. But that one is the Silent Night palette. Next on the list is the Secret Grove palette. And this one, I feel like if like these and this was not in here, it would be a little bit higher up on the list. Again, leaning kind of more warm, and a little bit more grungy or green. I just don't reach for it as much, but again, really beautiful. I love her layout. I love the layout. I love the color story and stuff like that. I feel like I don't need those in this particular palette, but that is my own personal preference, my own opinion. Still a great palette. I really love this palette, but it's a little lower on the list too. Next up, and probably a little shocking because y'all know I love shimmer shades, multi-chrome, duochrome. I'm kind of pairing all of these together because for me, they all do pretty much the same thing, but these are her all shimmer palettes. I will start with Galactic Gourmande. And I love that this is a little mini. I have beat this one up and it looks a hot mess, so I do apologize for the appearance of this palette. But I like here that she went a little bit deeper, and again, there are some just really beautiful special shades in here. And any time that she does, you know, a multi-chrome, duochrome, again, those shifts are just very apparent. I think this is stunning. I am, because this also is getting a little bit older, I'm passing this along to my niece. Next up is the Ethereal palette. And to note too, she is a cruelty-free brand. This one right here also has been around the block a time or two, and I also dropped it. So this one is also going to be getting donated to my niece. And I like here, again, that she went with a little bit more depth. You've got every type of color you can possibly imagine. We've got an inner corner shade. We've got yellows, oranges, greens, blues, purples. I love the concept of these. And I'm somebody that kind of until the last couple of years or so, I was more, and I love mattes because I like to build up depth on my outer corner. But I also have my kind of signature look, if you will, where I literally go in with my fingers with shimmers. I do a light shimmer, a medium, and a dark. And I just love that. I love that you can pair these with anything. You can do an all shimmer look or do any matte across the entire lid, or any matte in the crease, and then pop one of these on and then put one in the center. Love. I am gonna gift these to my niece. Next up is the Radioactive. I also really love this. Love the packaging and stuff as well. And the reason that I'm okay and comfortable in getting rid of both of these and kind of passing them along to get some more love from my niece is because here I still have the purples, the pinks, the blues. I still have something for the inner corner. There's some lighter tones, and then there's some depth, which I really, really love. Again, really, really beautiful formula. And the shifts, as I said, are always very apparent. These wear well on me too, which is super important for me. So this one I'm absolutely keeping. And of course, it's great. I love this palette. Next up is her newest release, the Calavera palette. And I've used this now 5 times. That is actually what I have on my eyes today. I like that for her, this was something super new for her. It is a much larger palette for her. And this would be at the tippity top because I've had such a good time playing with this. But again, I have a preference. That's just me. You know, we all have our own preferences, you guys. But the reason that this is ranking a little bit higher up is because I can still get those green grungy looks that I want. There's light to dark. There's the depth that I'm also looking for. But then I also feel like specifically for this time of year, this is absolutely perfect. Do you want to do a Barbie look? Do a Barbie look. Do you want to do clown? Do you want to go in and do Beetlejuice? Do you need to go in and create shadow and use, you know, some of the shades as contours? You could very much do that. And then there is something so freaking incredible about the shade selection in this particular palette that it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. This is the one that I have on today, just on top of a couple of the green shades. And this is on my inner corner, which is where that little kind of fiery peachiness is coming from. It's stunning. You guys, almost, this was going to be in like 2nd or 3rd place. But because I know moving kind of past this time of the year, I'm not going to reach for it all the time. And I do also like that there are little pops of color in here. There's a little bit of neon in here. I think it's so beautiful. I love this so much. Next up is the Nightshade palette. Again, I love the packaging of these. And this one does fold all the way back. I love this one. Again, though, it kind of runs along the lines of not always being something I gravitate toward, which I say it all the time. And when I use purple, I'm reminded of how spectacular purple is with brown eyes, brown or hazel eyes. Oh, honey. So I love it for that. And I love the variation here of deep, dark, kind of grungy, very smoky. And then you have a little bit of pastelized shades over here. You've got the pops of yellow. Yellow and purple go gorgeously together. Blue and yellow go gorgeously together. But it's fantastic. It's up here towards the top, but I just know I don't reach for it all the time, but spectacular. Absolutely stunning. Now we're going to be heading into the top 3. I want to see if you guys guessed right. So before we get to the top 3, comment down below. Let me know what you think is going to be the top palette. I'll wait. I'll wait. Go get a snack too. Get a snack, a drink, some cookies, oh, what is your favorite snack during the fall time? I'd like to know. I am that girl. Anything that is spiced. Spice cakes, pumpkin spice, apple pies, apple cobblers, anything pumpkin, like anything pumpkin. And it's because of those warm, rich spices, nutmeg and cinnamon and stuff like that. I love those. So what is your favorite? I'm making myself hungry, y'all. Anyways, you ready? All right, top 3. Number 3 is the Haunted palette. And the reason that this one kind of got a little bit of an edge up from Nightshade is solely because of these amazing, like murky, yummy, delicious greens and this beautiful kind of deep warmed, kind of reddy brown shade. Love. I love so much. It's got everything that I love. It's got the grunge. It's got a little bit of the yellows. It's got those greens and stuff that I really love. I just think it's absolutely amazing. I am going to swatch these shades for y'all because, oh, I cannot get enough. I love these green shades. So because I can go in with this particular palette, kind of verse the other one, and I can play pretty neutral, but then I can really grunge it up, it's amazing. And I will note too that like all of these together, they're beautiful companion palettes as well. And I think they really pair well with one another. They're great. Number 2 on the list. Of course, I've raved and raved and raved about this palette and I love it so much. It is the Spooked palette. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. And you can probably tell why this has kind of made it above the other ones, kind of in this same color or in this same layout. It goes light to dark. I've got my greens. I've got my warmth. I've got everything. I got everything that I need in here. I absolutely love, love, love this palette. And I do want to say too, like her white and her black are incredibly pigmented. Like that's something else that's pretty huge for me. But here are a few of the shades swatched. I mean, you got that white looks, it looks like face paint. Like it is that intense. There are such things as makeup wipes, Dursa. So the Spook palette is my second pick. It's just beautiful, and it is a palette that I grab year round because I can deepen it up, because I can soften it. It's just lovely. It's absolutely perfect in my eyes, except it could have an inner corner shade, but that's just me. That's just me. All right, number 1, you guys, comment down below. Number 1 is, of course, the Peach Perfect palette. I can't help it. I know I am a sucker for greens. I'm a sucker for warm tones, and it's just perfect. It's literally perfect in my eyes. Light to dark, beautiful level of depth here. I like that you can also pair this in a way that you're kind of creating little quads, if you will. You can go in here, 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 and then pop this one or this one. You can go in with the more neutrally shades and pop it with these. You can go in with your orangey peachy shades, and there's something to correspond with each kind of color family within the palette. And it's just lovely. I really think it's beautiful. Again, I feel like her formula, specifically in the last couple of years, has really improved, and I love them. I love this palette. So were you right on the picks? Of course, I'll be checking comments, and I'll be up in the comments chatting with you guys. That is my palette ranking for all of my Gourmande Girls Cosmetics palettes. If you do not see a palette here, I have gifted it to somebody. Like the breast cancer one of my friends had breast cancer. She was in remission, and I sent her a couple goodies, and I sent it her way. That is something that I don't like to keep things in my collection, unless they're still available from the brand, unless it is something that like I have not shown enough love to that particular palette or whatever. I really try to keep in my collection what I know I'm going to consistently use, and then I want to pay it forward if I know I'm not going to use it. So that is my ranking for all of my Gourmande Girls Cosmetics palettes. I will have her website linked down below. Again, I do have an affiliated code, RIRI10, for 10% off. Thank you guys so much for joining. I hope you'll stick around and subscribe and join my beauty family. Please give the video a thumbs up if you did enjoy. Thank you to my beautiful channel members. I love you. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. And of course, be your own best beautiful. Bye, beauties.